everyone, it's Jessica here from ElWell, and I'm here with Joan McKechnie, who is the lead audiologist at Hearing Direct. They are, hello Joan, so you guys are the leading online hearing experts. You've got your team of audiologists, and people can also go and buy hearing aids and accessories with you. And I was just wondering if you could tell me about when people are starting to get worried about their hearing loss, what steps they can take.
Okay, so admitting a hearing loss can be quite a difficult thing, particularly if we are talking about an age-related type of hearing loss, which often takes place over many years, so it can be a gradual process. There's been a lot of surveys and research to say that it can take about 7 or 8 years before someone who is beginning to notice difficulties with hearing actually takes the steps to get a hearing test and possibly get a hearing aid. So it can be quite a overwhelming process, but the actual steps are fairly straightforward. So it's all about trying to evaluate, is there a hearing loss, how much of a hearing loss is there, and what is causing it, and what is what they call configuration of hearing loss. So where are the difficulties in hearing? Is it low frequency, middle frequency, high frequency based, and of course the degree of hearing loss. So in terms of what to do, there are various starting points. You can do a very brief online hearing check just to see whether there is something to investigate further. Those are very simple, you can do it at home. And then you can get a full evaluation with a hearing aid audiologist, either through the NHS or privately.
Okay, and an online hearing test is like the results of that, are they, you know, is it something that's completely trusted and you can go and get your hearing aids from there?
It depends on which one you use. There are many online hearing checks available online. If you Google the term online hearing check, there'll be about 100 to choose from. Oh, okay. So one has to be aware that there are the difficulties of calibration by doing online hearing checks. Not everyone has potentially brilliant headphones even to be able to make sure that they're hearing effectively through their headphones. But you know, the one that we've got, for example, there is a lot of research and calibration that's been done by the company we use. So we find that the results from the online hearing check are pretty comparable to what we would expect on a calibrated audiogram.
And you mentioned that it can take about sort of 7 to 8 years for someone to go from noticing a problem to actually doing something about it. And I completely understand how that is. My dad's hearing is starting. My mum thinks his hearing isn't great, and he, you know, refuses to really, you know, even comprehend it or think about it. But will your hearing dramatically change within those 7 years? So, you know, when you start to kind of have a problem to when you actually go to do something about it, will there generally have been a really sort of a big deterioration?
Not necessarily. So when we deal with age-related hearing loss, there is a very typical pattern that we see. So what tends to happen is that one's higher frequency sensitivities decrease before the rest of the range. So people will find more and more difficulties picking up those very high pitches. We're talking about things like bird song, very high tones coming out of musical instruments, and even female voices, children's voices become a little bit more difficult to pick up. The rate of deterioration, it's quite individual, but generally it's fairly gradual. So we're not talking about a very significant change over 1 year to the next. But if one measures over a period of 10 years, then it could be a good few percentage points.
Okay. And you mentioned that people can come to you and have consultations. What common questions do people have? Because I'm sure that there are lots of kind of barriers to them checking their hearing and thinking about what what devices there are available to help them hear better.
Yeah, so my colleagues and I spend a lot of time talking to people over the phone, and there are concerns about wearing hearing aids. Will it make me look old? Will it be obvious that I've got a hearing loss? And to be honest, we say that sometimes not wearing a hearing aid is more obvious about a hearing loss, because you keep on having to ask people to repeat, and just feel potentially very left out of a conversation. We deal with concerns about how to choose what they need, what product is right for them. And there's a lot of detail we can go in to try and help people through that choice. There are thousands potentially of hearing aids on the market, so it can be a very overwhelming process. We've kept our product range very straightforward, and it's hopefully a kind of understandable process to talk through our choices. Things like lifestyle comes into it when making a choice of hearing aid. Dexterity is an important issue, whether someone understands that there will be maintenance required of their hearing aid every day, and every week there are parts that need to be replaced and looked after. So we're happy to talk through all of those kind of questions.
That's really interesting, actually, because before I started speaking with you, I didn't have any idea that, you know, I thought it was a bit like a pair of glasses where, yes, you have to clean them a little bit, but generally, you know, the upkeep is pretty minimal, but it's yeah, you have to, you know, sort of give yourself to it as well.
Yeah, and the accessories, they are fairly straightforward, but if you've never done it before, it does take a bit of a training process. We provide a whole lot of videos to talk people through that, and many people obviously have got someone to help them at home, so we would train them as well.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you very much. I think that's just been a really good sort of overview of what people can do and how you guys can help. So thanks very much.
Sure, my pleasure.
Okay, bye.